everyone. We are Group 1 of 2FM6, and today we're going to discuss the Gasataya versus Mabasa case, or also known as a GR number 148147. We have Jesse Gasataya as the petitioner versus Edita Mabasa, the respondent, with an active involvement of petitioner's father, Sabas Gasataya. This was promulgated on February 16, 2007. Here are the highlighted facts of the case. Firstly, the respondent Edita Mabasa had granted her father, Buenaventura Mabasa, a homestead patent for lots 279, 272, and 972 in Lanao del Norte, which was later mortgaged in order to acquire a loan from the Development Bank of the Philippines. Unfortunately, V. Mabasa was unable to compensate for it, leading it to be put up for a public auction, which was then obtained the titles by the DBP, Lot 279, under TCT or Transfer Certificate Title Number T2247, and was consolidated Lots 272 and 972 under TCT Number T2448. Second, the Mabasa siblings wanted to take hold of the property when Buenaventura Magbasa passed away, which was agreed by the DBP under a conditional sale for 25,875. This agreement would act as a stand on reacquiring the subject lots.
There was a debtor-creditor relationship shown in this case, where there was an agreement between the respondent and the petitioner's father to recognize the payment of obligation to DBP. Both parties agreed upon a 20 years possession on the said lots for the Gasatayas. Sabas Gasataya would then take the ownership of the lot and develop a fish pond. Considering the respondent received a 10,000 pesos, probably a lump sum cash, in addition to the 25,000 that Sabas Gasataya paid DBP on her behalf. Another agreement was later entered upon by both parties as the deed of sale of fish pond lands with the right to repurchase. Then, 8 years after the deed of sale with right to purchase was conducted, it was then discovered that Gasataya had ceased to pay DBP, revoking her rights for purchasing and offering the lots for public auction in which the petitioner can participate. Gasataya would then participate in a public auction that bid the highest price for 27,200, eventually acquiring the lots, and this later on resulted in a filed complaint by the respondent for RTC or reconveyance of titles and lands with damages against Gasataya. The respondent claimed that this act is a way of escaping his obligation to pay DBP. This was later on denied by the petitioner and argued that the conditional sale agreement was invalid due to the fact that DBP supposedly denied receiving payments from them, which was later dismissed due to the lack of evidence.
For the issues of the case, we have the following. Number one, if Mabasa still had the valid rights for the disputed lots, hence the cancellation of the conditional sales agreement by DBP. Number two, DBP did not recognize the illegal proceedings ahead of time, causing the delay of legal action. Lastly, whether convenience is available to Mabasa, the respondent.
So, in continuation, the Gasatayas wanted to acquire the lots in an illegal or fraudulent way. Fraud is a commonly unchecked problem, given the fact that DBP didn't recognize the crime ahead of time, probably setting the Gasatayas into thinking they could get away with it. As mentioned, there were two agreements entered by both parties, which was the latter to assume payment of her obligation to DBP and the deed of sale of fish pond lands with the right to repurchase, resulting in an action for reconveyance of titles and lands with damages. This case heavily relies on the breach of trust that led to fraud. So, on account of both Gasataya's fraudulent schemes, the public sale did not grant any valid legal titles to them for the subject properties. Thus, despite the registration of the properties being under the petitioner's name, did not exempt the existence of fraud. The petitioner's father, Sabas Gasataya, was actively present during the operation. He was well aware of the preceding fraud and attempted to conceal, resulting in a positive fraud, which defines as an act of deceivement, concealing something, or creating false representations with an ill intent. Consequently, the court was in favor of the respondent and allowed them to reacquire the house again through public auction. As for the petitioners, their rights for repurchasing the lots were revoked because of deceitful maneuverings.
According to the ruling of the Supreme Court, the law only protects an innocent purchaser for value and not one who has knowledge of and participation in the employment of fraud. An innocent purchaser for value is one who buys the property of another without notice that some other person has a right to or interest in that same property, and who pays a full and fair price at the time of the purchase or before receiving any notice of another person's claim. Commonwealth Act 141, Public Land Act, aims to confine and preserve to the homesteader and his kin the homestead lots. According to the Commonwealth Act, desperation doesn't allow an entire noteworthy choice. Nevertheless, homesteaders and their kin should be permitted each opportunity to repurchase their property.
As stated, wherefore the assailed decision of the Court of Appeals in CA GRCB number 55055 is hereby affirmed. Cost against petitioner. So ordered. Thank you for watching our case digest. Once again, we are Group 1 of 2FM6. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.